All right, all right. Welcome back to another Tenement TV. I'm Zach. I'm here with Sam and Sal talking NFL this week. Guys, how are we doing?
What's up, guys?
Yo, what's going on? Good to be back here, man. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Just fantastic.
Ready to keep the football conversation rolling.
Other than the fact that all my fantasy teams, guys, are like so subpar, it's not even a joke. Like, guys, it's so bad. Like, I think I have 5 leagues. I think I'm like 3 and 8 or 3 and 9.
Well, you did get that work from the Tenement team this week in the Wolf Sports League. So,
Dude, I thought I was coming back. I really did. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, it got quite a bit closer than I think anyone expected it to, because I know when you were kind of jumping in, starting that conversation, you're like, "Hey, is there a chance here?" And it was, people were laughing and getting their jokes in. But then I wasn't even tracking the score, and then all of a sudden, Jaden Daniels has a huge game, and Chase is having a big game, and I thought, I wonder how close this is right now. Like,
dude,
this
I was
seems
so
like it's
confident.
getting in there, and then I pull it up. I'm like, oh my god! Like, this was a little more sweaty than I anticipated.
Yeah. I'm excited for the rest of the fantasy season. I mean, my teams are struggling, but I think we'll turn it around. I have Jaden Daniels in like 5 leagues. I think all 5 leagues I have Jaden Daniels. So as long as he's doing good, like
He
I don't
popped
know.
off last week, man. That was an
Yeah.
amazing game.
Very
about-
impressive.
I know this is kind of jumping the gun, but I have Bijan in 2 leagues,
Mhm.
and where is he at? Like where is the Bijan that's supposed to be taking over games?
He's been okay. I mean, I don't know that what I want out of my first round pick is just don't have any duds. Like, you can't be giving me, an 8 or 9 point week. I need, I know unless you get McCaffrey, you're not getting 20 every week, but like, give me somewhere, like, I need to see double digits first and foremost. And,
I mean,
I'd like
I'm
to see
thinking
you
like
above 15. Like
18.
15,
Yeah.
yeah. Above 15 is acceptable. And it really is only amplified if the rest of the team sucks. If you're winning, that's where your issue is right now. Is like your team's losing, so you're like, what's going on? Why isn't my main MVP carrying the weight here?
Exactly. Like, especially he was my number. I think he was my number one pick. I think I had number one pick in 1 league, and I picked him number one overall.
Oh,
So,
wow!
so
You had the
I'm
inside
glad I didn't
information
pick.
on McCaffrey. You knew about McCaffrey,
No,
huh?
no, Tip just convinced me to pick Bijan number one. So I was like, all right, like,
I
I'll
will
go with
say
it.
I had number two in my main other league, and our conversations in the Wolf Sports Spaces is kind of what steered me towards taking Bijan at number two. I mean, it was wide open, right? You could make the case for a handful of guys there, and I was big on Bijan, and I mean, my team's 3-0 in that league, so that's what I'm saying. I don't have any negative feelings towards Bijan right now. I'm like,
Yeah, man.
hey, he's
I
doing
do.
fine.
When you're losing, everyone's under a microscope.
Yeah,
And
right.
honestly, like, I don't have any shares of Bijan this year, but one touchdown on the year so far, a little bit concerning. And to be honest, that touchdown this week or this past week, like, kind of saved his line. Like, he would have
Oh,
ended
I
up with
know.
like fantasy points or 4 fantasy
Yeah,
points
it's like,
and a half PPR, right?
yeah. Well, then I'm glad I have Brock Bowers. I have Brock Bowers in 2 leagues, so I'm glad
Savvy
with that.
pick.
But like
Savvy pick.
Sam Laporta, like where is Sam Laporta? I have him in 3 leagues. Like it's like
So I had some thoughts on this because I know last night in the space, somebody was sounding off and about how they've been disappointed in Dalton Kincaid. And the way I see it is fantasy has really distorted the way that people view tight ends, because ultimately, I mean, these guys are the best tight ends, like the actual really best tight ends are guys like George Kittle that are out there blocking. Like, they're not necessarily like Kittle maybe is a bad example because he does put up stats from time to time, but in the
yeah.
years I've owned him, I haven't ever felt
I've
like,
never
man,
been.
I know
Yeah.
he's going to get me a big week every week. Like, no, some weeks he's just a blocker. He's blocking and he's not
Yeah.
seeing the ball a lot. So, I mean, these guys aren't wide receivers. They are tight
Well,
ends.
pretty
They're-
much. I will kind of back off or jump on the back there. Like, I think Travis Kelce kind of distorted the image. Like he was that was it. It wasn't last year. I had him last year. It was 2 years ago. So 2022. I mean, it was like 25 a game. Like the year
Yeah.
that he finished like third in receivers, like he was insane. And that's not a typical tight end. So it's kind of like distorting the image.
Yeah. And, we always have a couple of top end guys. Now, I will say I feel like the tight end pool is deeper than it's ever been because normally, I mean, it used to be, hey, there were 3 guys and then it was just tight end roulette every week after that.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, I hope I get anything here. So
maybe it's just more like not top heavy because you don't have someone like Travis Kelce that it seems like there's more tight ends. You know what I mean? But yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
I mean,
it's not just Kelsey that's missing in action. You, Mark Andrews, what do you have? Like, he didn't have a catch last week, right? Like,
no.
yeah, and they're like a 2 tight end system now, and we have Hawkinson who's injured, and Laporta and that's the thing with Laporta. It's
Laporta
all
who's
these.
missing.
I was going to say a lot of these really high end tight ends. There are a lot of mouths to feed on the offenses that they're in, so they're not going to be the focal point.
I mean, you're kind of hoping that your tight end is a red zone target. Like,
yeah.
And that's like, you may not expect them to have like, more than 6 receptions on any given week, but you're hoping that they're getting the looks, for those touchdowns to carry to carry their scoring, but they're not. Like across the league, obviously a few exceptions, but you see guys like Trey McBride, no touchdowns. Kelsey, no touchdowns. Mark Andrews, no targets. I think Kittle has 1 touchdown, but like that's it, right? Like you're kind of hoping that those guys are able to kind of carry their totals based on touchdowns, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think I might be in in the last league standing that's not a PPR league, just standard scoring. And you want to talk about like tight end, you're really just hoping because there's not a lot of tight ends that really are getting over 50 yards on a weekly basis. I mean, almost any tight end, look at their stat line, they're all getting, somewhere between 30 to 50 yards. And you're just hoping that there's a touchdown there to kind of boost up the production. But outside of that, I don't know. I just feel like fantasy has really distorted the view of the tight end, and everybody wants the tight end to be the focal point of the offense when now on the flip side of that, what Arthur Smith did to Kyle Pitts was borderline criminal, where he's doing handoff running plays to the backup tight end this guy was trying to do anything he possibly could to not give Kyle Pitts the ball. So that was a different story, but this is sure there are plenty of people out there who have been stormed by Kyle Pitts that.
Yeah, I've never had Kyle Pitts, so
I
think he's pretty good.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, that first game really got everyone excited, right? I think he had 14 fantasy points or something along those lines. No tight end in the league has more than 1 touchdown so far at 3 weeks in. Right?
Yeah. I don't think there's been a lot of tight end output in. I mean, it's not so. And I know we had talked about kind of even like Taysom Hill, a guy like he missed last week. I think he has a lung injury, which doesn't seem ideal. But
yeah, no, I mean, fantasy's been brutal this year. I mean, I have what's his first name?
Malik Neighbors,
Malik, yeah. He's incredible. I mean, my God, he's dealing with maybe the worst quarterback in the league, and he's just putting up insane stats.
And we will see him on Thursday night. Tonight, actually. Yeah, we will see them facing off with Dallas tonight in a game of the 2 bottom feeders of the NFC East, Dallas and the New York Football Giants facing off. So what do you guys think there? I mean, are you expecting another big performance from Neighbors? Do you think he can kind of keep this up, or do you think Dallas maybe finally bounces back and finds their groove? Because Dallas has gotten absolutely smoked.
I really do.
Yeah,
because I do not like Dallas. I don't like Dallas fans. They're like Notre Dame fans, Michigan fans. They're just brutal. It's not your year every year. So it would be nice. I think if Neighbors has another big week, he's a bona fide wide receiver 1. quarterback proof. I mean, his quarterback's terrible, and he's
Yeah.
still putting up points. So yeah, no, I think I wouldn't be like shocked if Dallas won. I think they're going to win, but like I hope they don't.
I think Dallas is going to win. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. Personally, I got Dallas 6.5 easy. Like, look, I do think Neighbors is going to have a good game. I don't know if he's going to score. Maybe he'll score 1 touchdown. What did he have last week? 2, and
2.
like,
He said 2 the last 2 weeks, I think.
yeah. And maybe 80 yards. Like, he's going to put up a solid game, but I think we're going to see a Daniel Jones, masterclass. Maybe 2 picks. That's one of my favorite picks this week. Like, Daniel Jones to throw an interception. Like, I feel like it's happening for sure.
I think the biggest story though is Micah Parsons. Like, where is Micah Parsons? I mean, the guy is missing posters all over Dallas. I mean, the guy is nowhere to be found. Especially for complaining like he wants the biggest contract in defensive history or whatever. Like, and then I think he has 1 sack. Like, you're the best player on the team. Like, where are you at? So, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, probably the part that's been so concerning with Dallas is their defense has just been getting shredded, and by the Saints, and and these are home games. Like they've been getting just destroyed at home.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think it'll be good for them to at least get out of Dallas, get on the road, get away, because if they had another home game tonight, and like let's say the Giants got the ball first, went down and scored, you would hear the groaning going on in Jerry's world. Like you would start hearing the groaning through the TVs and people like grumbling and Mike McCarthy's got to go, and they're showing the sad Dallas fan. Did you guys see the sad Dallas fan with like the giant hat on at the last game? I mean, it's but I don't know. It's been, refreshing to kind of at least see the Giants be semi-competitive, or at least not be just a total punching bag. But I don't know. I think I kind of agree. This might be a good get right spot for the Cowboys now, albeit on a short week. And I mean, generally, I don't know. These Thursday night games, I normally like, especially home dogs getting points within a division, is normally an angle I like, but I don't know. I can't get there tonight with the Giants. But what we do have is we have a couple of flash questions for the game tonight in the Tenement app. So let me get these fired up.
Nice. There you
There we go. So, CeeDee Lamb to score a touchdown, Devin Singletary to score a touchdown. What do you guys think here? Like, what do you like either of these? Feel strongly yes or no to either way, or what?
I'll go first here, man. I like both. I think that Singletary's, as long as the Giants find their way to the red zone, like I think it's Singletary who's scoring. Just based on how the Cowboys defense has been looking. They're a little soft against the run, in my opinion. And CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to have a big game, man. Like, this is a must-win for the Cowboys, in my opinion. And I've got CeeDee Lamb, like 80-plus yards, 70-plus yards, touchdown. I'm going to take the yes on both of those.
I like the CeeDee Lamb pick. Singletary, like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the CeeDee Lamb pick I wouldn't be that confident with. I don't think Dak is playing particularly well. I don't think their chemistry is on point. Now I'm sure CeeDee Lamb will have a breakout game. Like one of these next couple of weeks, he'll have a huge game, and that might be tonight. But no, I agree.
Well, and the thing is, so I'm looking right now. CeeDee Lamb has 1 touchdown on the year. He scored in week 2 in their 44-19 loss to New Orleans. My goodness. Singletary has
that's terrible.
yeah, no, I know. It's almost like I still have to do a double take on that. No, I
think New
know.
Orleans is that
It
good,
tricked
yeah.
everybody into thinking the Saints were good, is what happened. Because everybody went into last week thinking like, oh my gosh, do we need to worry about the Saints now? Is Derek Carr like? And then they scored 15 points at home against Philadelphia, and it's like, okay, well, the Saints are back to being who we thought they were. So I'm not particularly, which I think we even mentioned last night in the space where I was like, I kind of love Atlanta on the
I don't mind
divisions
Atlanta
market
either.
there. They're the second because I think New Orleans is favored to win that division and Atlanta's number 2. And from what I've seen, and maybe it's a little bit of like primetime bias because we've seen Atlanta on the big
Yeah.
stage in some games, but like, they had every opportunity to beat Kansas City and they just
That's what I was gonna
couldn't
say.
get it done, and
Like
they've looked
they haven't
impressive.
played bad. Yeah. They
Right.
almost beat Kansas City. I feel like multiple teams have almost beat Kansas City this year. So like, and it is just annoying. Like
It's
the
very
Ravens were an inch
annoying.
away.
Because I've never hated, I don't know that anybody can really, unless you're a Bills fan, it's hard to like hate the Chiefs or Andy Reid or Patrick Mahomes or anything going on there. Like, they're a generally likable team, but I think there is definitely some Kansas City fatigue that's starting to set in, and especially now they're winning these games late that they kind of play with their food or whatever. The other team looks better, and then they just kind of, it's like other teams make boneheaded plays and just collapse. It's not even
I don't
necessarily.
understand. I think there's like a spell. Like it's almost hard for every team to mess up this late in the game. Like,
yeah, and they kind of just like the other team will have some horrendous penalty or like they just fumble the ball or one way or another they find a way to kind of shit down their leg and it just serves it up to Kansas City, who, by the way, they don't need anybody to do them any favors. Like, they have all the tools to get things done on their own. They don't need all these favors that seemingly fall into their lap. But
do you blame?
I'll say he does not agree. He says that they're the most hated team. So, but I also believe he's a Bengals fan. So,
of course,
it might come from there. It might be stemming a little bit from there. Like I said, if you've been directly impacted by the Patrick Mahomes,
you know what? I actually have not. That's why I don't think I really. Patrick Mahomes doesn't really like affect me. The Chiefs winning don't affect me because like my team hasn't even been close. So it's like we never get beat by them. We never even play them. So it's kind of like if I was a Bengals fan, I'd probably hate them too. I mean the Bengals have their own problems. Like is it Barnacle Boy is the Bengals fan?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Barnacle Boy. I mean, you can't even start complaining about the Chiefs because you guys might not even make the playoffs. Like,
oh yeah,
I know we're not. I know the Bears might.
They're
not.
out.
But like the Bengals have many problems. They're gonna lose Andy Dalton this weekend.
Revenge game.
I'll say this: even if you hate the Chiefs, you gotta respect them. Like, it's like for me, that's kind of like the Celtics, or I don't know. What's another good comparison? Like just one of those. Oh, like John Jones and UC. Like, even if you hate them, you gotta respect them.
Yeah, I can see that. And like I said, I mean, I don't know. I've been kind of agnostic on the Chiefs, where it's like, I don't love them. I don't hate them. But I'm certainly starting to get a little bit tired of it. And I think there's other people that probably, in fact, the whole Taylor Swift element has certainly added a new wrinkle where now people have opinions there. And the only thing that I will say is a lot of the hate to the Chiefs was, I think, primarily directed towards Jackson Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes. So it was like all these other people that aren't even on the field. Like those are the people that like that was where the
I don't understand though. Like I don't understand why do you hate Brittany Mahomes? I get it, she's annoying, but like every girl would be that if they were in that position. They'd be on like the field, they'd be posting about it. Like I don't know why everyone cares.
Yeah, the TikToks, and I think it was just kind of like the cringy appearances, but I don't know. Andy Reid has got to be one of the most likable coaches ever. You can't dislike Andy Reid.
Yeah, Barnacle Boy came with some like cold hard stats, man. Can you put that link up or that image up?
Let's I'll click on it. Let's see what we got here. I'll go check
That's
it
not
out for
that's
you
not
guys.
helpful. Oh yeah, let's see
Study
if you can.
finds study finds the Chiefs is the most hated team in the NFL. Kansas City Chiefs are enemy number one in a lot of eyes, or NFL fan eyes. Oh yeah, I mean they did in this study they look like they tracked 120,000 tweets and they were the most hated team.
Well, so here's what I'll say, and I'll push back a little bit on this because number one, the best team is always going to rank highly there. Like whoever is the best team, and if you
Yeah.
keep winning Super Bowls, even if you aren't, maybe a
Oh, there
team
you go.
that's like super hated, you're going to work your way there. Like when the Chiefs
You know
won
what's
their
funny?
first Super Bowl, they were not on the top of this list when they won Super Bowl number one. Now that they're like a few in, it's like, okay, you start to climb this list pretty quickly.
Well, I'll bounce off that. I mean, the Cowboys never win and they seem to be at the top of the list. So I'd actually kind of lay it out that way. The Cowboys are probably the most hated team because like the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls and they're that high. Like how are the Cowboys that high? They haven't won in 25 years.
Yeah, the Cowboys are there because of their fans. And the other thing is, I was going to just say the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Eagles, at least 2 of those 3 are directly related to their fan bases, I would say, Cowboys and Eagles. And these are teams that we see on primetime all the time. So it's like if you're watching these teams on Monday Night Football, on Thursday night, and like they're letting you down, or maybe you're losing to them in fantasy or whatever the case is, you just start to get fatigued by these teams.
Yeah.
And,
why
you
are
see
the
down
Bears
there.
up there? Like, what are the Bears doing up there? Or, like, why? Why?
They're middle of the pack. They're middle of the pack.
The Packers should be higher. I mean, nobody likes the Packers.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Bears are here. The Packers definitely should
Thank
be
you.
higher. Honestly, the Jets should be higher too, man. I'm not a fan of the
I don't
Jets.
know what's the Jets are like the Knicks. Like it is fun when they're good. Because it is fun, but like
it's equally fun to hate on them too.
Yeah, but we found
no.
that's what we found out with the Knicks this year. When they actually were good, it's like, you know what? I liked it better when they weren't. Like it was a little bit it was better off when they were quiet. So no, I don't know. I just feel like look at all those teams at the top. Those are all teams that we are seeing on prime time all the time. The teams down here at the bottom, teams that are rare, like the Colts are never. They don't have any prime time. They have one prime time.
Oh yeah, this is simply just no one talks about the Jaguars.
Yeah.
They're irrelevant.
You know, Jacksonville.
They could be missing from this list, and no one would know.
Guys, I saw this thing about Jacksonville. 10 months ago, Trevor Lawrence was coming off the largest playoff deficit win. Okay, like he came back or whatever it was, however you word that. Like he came back against the Chargers. They're 8-3. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is at the top of the world. They're fighting for the 1 seed. And then something occurred, and now they're like 0-10 in their last 10 games. Like they were literally 8-3, and then they just vanished. Like Trevor Lawrence just became a bum. Like I don't understand.
I have a little bit of a hot take here where I think Trevor Lawrence kind of always has been a bum, and he's getting worse. He's regressing. I mean, maybe not always, but I have never felt the way this elevated view that everybody puts him into this elite. Like, do you remember when they were saying, man, this guy's the most sure thing prospect we've ever seen since Andrew Luck? And
I said the same thing. I thought he was. Dude, if I was a Bears fan, I wanted Trevor Lawrence. I think Caleb Williams is a better prospect, but I wanted Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, I don't know. Some of it's just, I don't know if it's his personality, which I hate, you hate to say it, but it's just like he doesn't really have the type of personality that the team can rally behind or kind of get guys fired up. He's very laid back, and that kind of, I think, spills into the team, and now you can give him the Urban Meyer year as a wash. That he gets a free pass there. But now he's with Doug Peterson.
Yeah,
he made Carson Wentz look like an MVP.
Yeah.
If
you cut out that first year, he went to the playoffs. He was 8-3 before he got injured. Okay, so then you're going into this year. You're 0-3. If he would have played good this year, I don't think anybody would have said anything because he had the injury at the end of last year. That's fine. How are you 0-3? Now you should have beat Miami in week 1. That's killer because you fumbled on the goal line. But no.
And they've had no shortage of good weapons, wide receivers, running backs. I mean, they've
Yeah.
been loading up that team with offensive weapons. There is no excuse for. It's not like they have. I mean, I don't know that they have an elite offensive line, but I feel like they're middle of the pack in protection. It's not like he's just getting battered back there. So I don't know. I almost at no point I have not been impressed by him. Almost at any point in his career. So I'm just.
Yeah. I was such a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. Like I'm serious. I think the middle of last year when they were at 8-3, I would like there probably wasn't 3 quarterbacks I'm taking over Trevor Lawrence on my team. Like other than Mahomes and Josh Allen, maybe. Like I was taking Trevor Lawrence over everyone besides Mahomes and Joe Burrow, maybe.
So let me ask you this: in the AFC South, would you rather have Trevor Lawrence or Anthony Richardson? If we take away the contracts, like don't factor in contracts or anything else, who would you rather have right now? This point moving forward.
I think I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. Okay, maybe it'll change in a few weeks, but Anthony Richardson's a great weapon and he's a great athlete. But I haven't really seen much on the passing side. Like I think he's great and I think he's gonna be good. But like I
don't
think
know if he is.
Proof too.
I don't know if he is.
You don't think so?
I mean,
I don't know. Like,
I think there's legitimate reason. Now, I can see both sides of it because on the one hand, as we've all heard over and over, he only has like 17, 18 starts in his career, like including college.
Yep.
So we already knew experience was going to be an issue here. But what you often don't see is guys that go from being inaccurate to just fixing their accuracy. Like it's seemingly the one thing that you can't really solve. And like guys who might be really accurate, but just don't have like a strong arm or don't have enough zip on the ball, or, they're not good at reading defenses. Okay. Those things are solvable, but I don't know. Accuracy is something where you don't necessarily see a guy be very inaccurate. And then 2 years later, it's like, man, now he's like
Josh Allen. I mean, I know he's not the most accurate quarterback now, but like
you're right. No, and you're right. And I feel like he is a once in a generation type guy that has like kind of skewed the like the lens in which people look at quarterbacks now, because like he is kind of giving people where they're like, oh, well, look what happened to Josh Allen. It's like, well, guess what? He is a one of one. Like they don't make other Josh Allens.
But I will say Anthony Richardson probably has more like talent, like running, like he's a more of an athletic specimen than Josh Allen. So like, if you could figure out the accuracy, I mean, he'd be up there. I think, I don't know, like in that division, like I still think I'm taking him. I'm not the biggest fan of CJ Stroud, but
you don't like Stroud?
No, I do not. And I don't think the Texans are very good. I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to let down. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to. Like, I think the Colts are better than them.
I definitely think that the Texans' hype was got a little bit too high and out of control in the preseason. Like, people were a little bit too high on the Texans for what they were. Because, right. And it's like, look, they barely snuck into the playoffs last year. And then they win the game, and all of a sudden everybody's like ready to anoint them as a Super Bowl contender. It's like, all right, pump the brakes a little bit here, right?
Yeah. No, like it's kind of the same as Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville 2 years ago had to win like 6 games in a row. Yeah, that was 2 years ago. They had to win 6 games in a row to win the division.
Yeah, they won. I think
they won the playoff game, and then they were like, "Oh, this team's gonna be good."
Yeah, because I think it was the final week of the season. They played the Colts to go to the playoffs, and they snuck in.
Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, like just because you get Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, like I don't think Stephon Diggs is anywhere near what he used to be.
Yeah. Are we sure he's? Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
He's not even the best receiver on his team. Like Nico Collins is better than him.
Like, I don't know.
Now Will Anderson, like they do have some weapons and some like super.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to sit here and say that the Texans suck. Like they're not a bad team. And I am probably a little bit higher on CJ Stroud than you are overall, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't view them as. I mean, the AFC has too many other good teams
Oh
to
my
really consider
God.
them
They,
in the upper echelon. I mean, if they were in
I
the
feel bad. I really feel bad for some of these quarterbacks because, like, 10 years from now, nobody's going to be talking about them. And in most other generations, they'd be the best quarterback in their generation.
right,
Like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, you could probably talk him in there. Like Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson when he was on the Texans. Like, there's a lot of guys that, like, probably would have been the best quarterback of their generation, and they just keep losing. So,
that's kind of how
like,
I feel
Patrick
a little
Mahomes.
bit about Matthew Stafford, to be honest, where it's like,
Yeah.
man, if he wasn't just on a horrendous Lions team forever, or, even a guy like
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, like
Yeah.
Phil Rivers, like, never really did a lot as far as like deep
I
playoff
remember
runs.
I remember as a kid, like I never used to think, I guess like I'm a lot younger, so like I watched Philip Rivers like at the end, and I never used to think he was good because when I would look at like playoff wins in Super Bowl, like dude, he never made any.
No, and the
It's
thing that I think everybody, it's like the lasting image that you always have is, it's a Sunday. It's like you could almost set your alarm for sometime around 6:30 p.m. on Sunday Eastern, and you're going to end up seeing it's like the sun is setting, and you're just going to see the game ending. Philip Rivers has like taken his helmet off. He just either
Yep.
threw an interception or like and it's like more times than not, he threw a perfect pass, went off the hands of his receiver to be an interception to
Yeah.
end the game, and you just see him like
well,
exhaling,
yeah, no.
helmet in hand. Like that was like a lasting image of Philip Rivers every Sunday.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I do think it's gonna be weird, like looking back, because there's so many good quarterbacks in this AFC. Like the NFC, like if you were drafted in the NFC, like it's much easier to get to the Super Bowl, I think, than the AFC. And in the AFC, you play against, all right, I mean, Tua's out, but like you're playing against 3 superstar quarterbacks in the playoffs.
Well,
So it's
speaking of
like,
superstar quarterbacks, what have been your early takeaways so far on Caleb Williams, and what are you expecting this week
you know
as
what?
they take on the Rams?
I told people at the beginning of the season, I'm not expecting him to win many games. Like I'm fine with like 8 games. And I'm fine. He's gonna throw a lot of picks. He's a guns, like he slings it. I was much more impressed with week 3 than I was the first 2 weeks. Like throw 380 yards, fine, good. Throw a few touchdowns. I don't care if you win. Just like look good. Like as long as the eye test is there, I don't care. Like I think this week he played pretty good. One of his interceptions was it knocked off the guy's hands. So it's like, yeah, he threw 2 interceptions, but like it was really one. I don't think he played particularly bad. Now the first 2 weeks it was slow starting, but also the line is abysmal. Like the line, where is our line? Like we've drafted our line like every year, and somehow it's just like you go through, and like
Well, and not only
our
that, it's the
weapons
pass
are hurt.
blocking
Like,
and the run blocking, because everybody's ragging on DeAndre Swift and like talking about how like terrible
yeah,
he's been, but I looked earlier, so this year he's averaging 1.8 yards per attempt, which is horrendous.
Horrendous.
For the last few years, he's averaged 4.6, 5.5, 4.1, and 4.6 yards.
Is Roshan Johnson gonna be the lead back going forward?
I don't know. Like
I don't think it matters. Like you
really don't.
You could put Christian McCaffrey back there, and you can't outrun when the entire defensive line is converging on you. I mean, I know everybody's probably seen the play there when they ran the speed option. The entire Bears offensive line was all on the ground, and all of the Colts defensive line is in the backfield. I mean, that's in a goal to go situation. Like, I don't even know how that happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
I saw there was
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like forging under fire, I guess. Like Caleb Williams, like if he comes out with the year and he's actually playing like pretty good with a terrible offensive line, like I am excited to see what he could do with a good offensive line after a year. I think he's going to be a future MVP. I think if he was drafted by anybody, like before the year, I thought New England was going to get the first overall pick, and somehow they won games and didn't get Caleb Williams. But I think he's going to be a superstar. I think he's better than Jaden Daniels. I would take him over Jaden Daniels. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't think I was like expecting him to walk out and be like Justin Herbert in his rookie year.
Well, it's not like people looked at the Bears last year and thought, man, they're only a quarterback away. I mean, this was a team that was not
No,
very good to begin with.
they're
And,
terrible.
they loaded up on all these big name offensive weapons, but we have yet to see. I mean, Dunze had a good showing. Keenan Allen has just been MIA for the most part. So
Yeah, nowhere to be found. It seems like I feel like there's a lot of like missing posters around the NFL. Like, where are they? Like, where did they go? Last year he had the best year of his career, and now he's nowhere to be found. Now, is that a scheme issue? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's play calling. I mean, I don't know.
there's a lot of people hating on Shane Waldron already. I know that, going into the draft, there were the Bears were potentially looking at Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator to reunite, because he had already been with Caleb Williams in college. And that was kind of like the whole, this would be perfect to pair Cliff Kingsbury back with Caleb Williams. And, Kingsbury now instead, he ends up in Washington, making Jaden Daniels look really good. So I think that kind of compounds making Shane Waldron look like,
Yeah,
everybody wants to blame him, but I don't know that it takes ball. He can't. He's not doing the blocking schemes, right? So
yeah, I think the Bears are still going to make the playoffs. I really do. I think with the hurt Jordan Love, I don't think the NFC is very like threatening. No one's playing particularly well. I think the Vikings aren't very good. Like, yes, they've won 3 games. But
you don't think the Vikings are very good?
No, like they're good. I guess. I mean, they're better than the Bears, but
Yeah.
like I don't think they're. Like Detroit hasn't been playing very good. Eagles, Cowboys, like Eagles not bad. I mean, they would be 3-0 if Saquon caught that ball. 49ers aren't particularly good, like playing well. I mean,
I just think it's concerning where, the Colts are objectively a horrible defense. I mean, the Packers ran the ball all over them. Everybody, and I think I don't know if this was on last week's show, but I actually said, I was like, I'm taking the Packers, and both guys thought I was crazy. They're like, this will be an easy win for the Colts. Malik Willis, probably the worst quarterback in the NFL. Like, nobody's starting a worse quarterback than him. He can't win games. And my point was just kind of like, hey, like this defense isn't going to be able to stop the run. That's what they did. They ran for, I think, almost, over 200 yards. So anyway, moving forward. Okay. Are we, you're going to have to go, Sam? You're going to have to leave?
Yeah, I have to hop out, but I'll answer a few more questions. Or actually, let me throw one to you guys.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. So do you have more confidence going into this week for the Bengals or the Jaguars?
So the Bengals going into Carolina, the Jags going at Houston.
I guess
Sal,
the
you
rest
go
of the
first.
season. Sal, like the rest of the season, they're both 0-3. Like, who would you rather bet on making the playoffs?
Is neither an option?
I guess you're a Steelers fan, so he's gonna
look. I'll say I think the Bengals are better. Should be better, and hopefully will be better. Like I don't really like it hasn't looked good, man. But I think they're def. I think they're going to beat the Panthers, and they should. And it's a must win for them. You don't want to start 0-4. And I think Jacksonville loses to Houston. So
you think Jacksonville's going 0-4?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I do. And look, I know you guys are hating on Trevor Lawrence. Look, I think he's gonna figure it out at some point. In his career, like, look, what is he, like 23, 24 years old, something like that? I think he's gonna figure it out. It's not gonna happen like right away, but like now. I think Houston's gonna win. But I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna be all right.
People are asking, is Trevor Lawrence a coach killer? He got Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer's terrible. I mean, Urban Meyer, like, he was, again, nowhere to be found. He was at clubs when he was supposed to be coaching. So
yeah, not even flying with the team, flying separate from the team, and I mean that was a mess. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where I think that now he has a serious coach. He has in Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach who won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. I mean, this guy knows how to make quarterbacks look good. Like I said, Carson Wentz was incredible under Doug Peterson. He made Nick Foles led them to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
now
Well,
allegedly this generational talent that he has can't figure it out under his tutelage. I don't know. I'm not buying it.
I think before I go, I think there will be one quarterback or one team that like has the flip of the switch and like goes off for 8 straight. And then it's like, oh, they did start 3-0-3 or 1-2 or whatever, and now they're one of the best teams in the league. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's Cincinnati. Maybe it's Jacksonville. Probably not Jacksonville. I mean, they're straight terrible. But
And
yeah,
that's
no, I
the
think
thing.
there'll
It's
be
such a
someone.
long season that, yeah, you're right. And what I'm looking right now, I mean, Jacksonville has played the 5th toughest schedule to date, and they have the 29th toughest remaining schedule. So you might be onto something there. I mean, maybe they are a team to kind of buy low on and see if they can kind of turn it on here in the second half.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna hop out, guys. This was a great show. Sorry for the interruption. I have to hop
No,
out.
all
But,
good, man. Good,
no,
good
this
to
is
have
great.
you here, man.
I'll be here next week.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm good going forward. So
Let's
all
go.
right, guys.
All right, thanks,
We'll see
man.
you later.
Thanks
Take
for
it easy.
joining.
We have a hilarious comment there. Jim Bob with Urban Meyer didn't travel with the team to go on a double date with Josh Giddey and their high school girlfriends. That's insane. That's insane, man. That's unhinged.
I mean, that is what I mean. It was pretty wild. I mean, I feel like it's easy to forget how much of a disaster that really was. You know, this guy was out here kicking players in practice. You remember that? He was kicking his own players, the kicker, I believe.
That's hilarious.
Berating players in practice, like talking down to them. And, you know, I think that's where it's just such a different job when you're coaching in college versus the NFL, because, you know, in college you can kind of talk to guys like, not that you should, but I feel like college coaches get away with kind of talking to guys that way because those guys are going to be in and out of the program in, you know, 4 years anyway. So it's like, hey, if this guy hates me, and I mean, look, things are maybe a little bit different now with the transfer portal where guys can leave tomorrow. But,
Yeah.
you know, in the past, it was kind of seen as, oh, well, you're not going to leave because then you have to sit out a year. And anyway, you kind of get a little bit more of this tough guy bravado that doesn't fly in the NFL. I mean, these guys
exactly. It's a completely different like power dynamic, right? Like,
yeah,
you're in college. This guy's future depends on you. You have all the power. Whereas in the NFL, like, you don't want to play for this guy. You don't have to really, you know. And yeah, I don't know, man.
And then, you know, and that was just things that were happening in practice. And then they're getting destroyed. I mean, just getting absolutely embarrassed on the field on Sundays. And then this man he's flying. He's not even flying with the team. He's going to his bar and, like, you know, let's say engaging in some extracurricular activities with with other patrons in the bar. We'll leave it at that. But, you know, this is after the team just lost the game. You know, he flies separate to go party at the bar. So I don't know. That was still like a crazy, crazy situation that I don't know that we're going to see something like that happen again.
Where is he now anyways?
I believe he's just working. Is he still back on? He was working for Fox doing college football Saturday coverage, like on the panel.
Yeah.
I believe he's still just probably doing that. I mean, he's never going to get another look in the NFL. That's for sure. I mean, that ship has sailed, and I think, I don't know. It's hard to say I'd be surprised to see him come back to the college game, but I think it would really have to be, I mean, at this point, he's not going to come back to a rebuild situation. I mean, hey, look, here's a wild thought. What if he went back to Florida? I mean, they're going to fire their coach at the end of this year. Maybe he goes back to Gainesville and tries to rebuild that program with all the criminals that he pumped through that program while he was there, you know?
So when he was with Florida, like, obviously they won a fair bit, right?
Yeah, he won a few national championships. I think at least two titles in Florida. And
right. And did that like end on a good note?
It ended with, I think he said he had health issues, right? Or unless I'm confusing that with the Ohio State, but he left. When Tim Tebow, because he rode the Tim Tebow train, and then he left. That was another thing he did in Jacksonville. He brought in Tim Tebow, where no one. It's like, you got this guy here for what? Like playing tight end? I don't know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't leave the program. Excuse me. He didn't leave the program in bad shape. I think he said he was stepping away for like his mental health from the Florida Gators, and he sat out, I believe it was 1 year, certainly no more than 2. And then, Ohio State comes calling for him to replace, it was either when Jim Tressel or Luke Fickell, he was replacing one of those guys, came in immediately. They're good overnight, like, right away, right back where they should be.
Won a national championship there too, right? So
yep. And then because remember, he was like collapsing on the field, and like he kept saying he had these like horrible migraine problems, and not to make light of it, but he didn't have a lot of migraine issues when they were winning games. It only seemed to happen, when they were kind of struggling and under the gun. So I don't know. I don't feel bad taking shots at Urban Meyer, because from everything that we've read and gathered, the guy wasn't. I'll put it this way: better football coach than human being. Right.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree there. So,
sure. For sure.
Okay. So before we pivot further into college football, did you have any thoughts on your Steelers this week? They are playing. I was going to say with Sam, it's funny because the intersection of what we had going, like I said, I grew up as a Rams fan, and now living in Indy, I tend to root for the Colts. I go to Colts games. So we have all of our teams. We're kind of all on deck, with the Rams and Bears facing each other, and the Colts and Steelers facing off in Indy. So how are you feeling there?
I want to ask, I want you to answer that question first.
So I went to this game when they played in Indy. It was on a Thursday Night Football, I believe. I'm not sure if it was last year or 2 years ago. But Kenny Pickett was starting. And for the Colts, it was when they were kind of cycling through. God, who was there? It was Nick Foles and Sam Ellinger, and they were kind of like rotating through those guys. And that place, it was late in the season, and I tell you what, the Steelers season was over. Like, but they were not making the playoffs. And I remember, because I kind of took a shot at some Steelers fans, but I said good luck in the playoffs, and they're like, we're not making it, But anyway, I said that to say this: that place was 40% Steelers fans when I was there, and I still have a video. There was terrible towels going crazy. I mean, they packed that place out, and they had nothing left to play for that season. And I think and now here they are 3-0. I think that place is going to be full of terrible towels again. I think it's going to be, another situation where it's 40% Steelers fans in the building. And I think they bring a toughness from the Mike Tomlin. That's what the Mike Tomlin deal is, right? They play tough. They're hard hitting. They beat you up. You're going to leave the Steelers game hurting. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think that, you have a team that has an elite defense, and the Colts offense has not been super impressive outside of Jonathan Taylor. They've had a couple of flashy, big splash, highlight reel plays, but seemingly those are the only passes that Anthony Richardson has been able to complete. And I don't know that he's going to find much more success on the Steelers pass defense. And then on the flip side, you look at the Steelers are probably, I would imagine, going to try to really establish the run game. And I think they are going to be able to gash the Colts on the ground, run all day long. And I think that they're favored with good reason.
I was kind of surprised to see that only be like a 1.5 point spread, right? Like, I thought the Steelers would be a little bit more favored just based on how well they've played, how good that defense has looked, and all the things you said. Like, the Colts turnover issues in combination with how the Steelers defense has been playing, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not asking a lot of Justin Fields. They're kind of, he I hate the term, but really all they need from him is to kind of be a game manager type guy and then maybe make a couple plays here and there with his legs, which I think he'll be able to do. I think that if they could do some zone read stuff with the Colts, I think the Colts still missing DeForest Buckner, who was one of the few very good players they have on their defense. So I don't know. I think they are going to find a lot of holes. I think they're going to be able to punch the Colts in the mouth, and it'll kind of be it's the type of team that I don't know that the Colts always now at times they were more of a smash mouth team, but I don't know that they are right now in the way that they want to be. They're trying. The problem I find is they're trying to have Anthony Richardson play as a pocket passer, which I get. That's to protect him. They don't want him to get injured again. But at the end of the day, he's not. He's not a pocket passer, and he's not. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he has the skill set to be able to turn into a pocket passer. And that's also not why you took him. You took him because of the athletic ability, and I think you got to kind of like let him free, let him, within reason, maybe learn how to slide. Don't lead with your head. Don't kind of like, act like, but it's got to be hard when you're that big. You're the biggest guy on the field outside, and that's where I think maybe he's taken some injuries. He's not used to seeing the big defensive linemen, the Cam Haywards of the world and these guys that are going to like lay the wood. You are literally running into a brick wall. It doesn't matter how big you are. And that's where, I don't know. I wanted to see them cut him loose a little bit, but at the same time, I think there's very valid concerns there that it's going to result in injuries. So I don't know how do you feel? You seem a little bit more optimistic on Anthony Richardson than I am. I'm not ready to turn the page or give up on him. I just don't know that we're going to see the development.
I'm with you. You got to let him be. You got to let him be him for sure. I don't know if the Steelers are the right team to do that against.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So
he essentially had a redshirt season last year, which I thought was going to be a good thing for him to kind of sit back, learn, and kind of soak up the NFL experience, right? This guy, he didn't even have a ton of experience at the college level. He hasn't been playing football very long either, but he's an insane athlete. And I think, at some point you got to kind of use what makes him special, which is, let him run that Cam Newton style offense when he was in an MVP. So I don't know. I just know they aren't going to have much of a home field advantage this week. Aside from the comfort of actually playing at home, they're probably going to have to do some silent count stuff at home because the Steeler fans are going to be there in big numbers and they're going to be loud. So,
yeah.
And I think it's properly priced because I do think it is somewhat of a coin flip game. I could see it going either way. But if I had to make a pick, I just don't have a lot of confidence in the Colts right now as a team simply because of how poorly their defense has looked.
Yeah, I agree fully, man. Look, there is a path to the Colts winning, man, but like I'm hammering that line personally. I'm taking the Steelers everywhere I can, like, and maybe I'm biased, but man, I anticipate another 2+ turnover game for the Colts, and like, I feel like that's conservative, really. Like, I could easily see it being 3, right?
Yeah, and you can't win games turning the ball over. That's that's it. More times than not, you take the team that wins the turnover battle, and that team is going to win the game. And especially when you have a defense like the Steelers that forces turnovers against an offense that is turnover prone. That's a recipe that I don't want any part of. So as we kind of transition here into college football, I see Chandler has some strong opinions here about Virginia Tech going into Hard Rock and kicking Miami's you know what. So I don't know that I agree with that. In fact, I think I would strongly disagree with that. I don't think Virginia Tech is very good at all, but we will see. Let's see as we get. I know we're going to get our guy Bob in here for a quick call. He's going to give us a preview of the two marquee matchups on the college football slate this weekend, and then we can kind of dive in and quickly touch on some other key games. But let's bring Bob in to kind of get in and out, give us our quick preview, and send us into the weekend.
The biggest game in college football this week. Georgia -1.5, current total about 48.5 is the current market. This Bama Georgia game is a little bit different than previous matchups. No Nick Saban on the sidelines for the Crimson Tide. This one has Kalen DeBoer, who I believe is one of the best offensive coaches in the country, and someone who's quite frankly made me a lot of money good dating back to his days in Bloomington and at Fresno as well. As for the Bama offense, it's one that's relied on a lot of explosives and not a lot of down-to-down success. Quarterback Jalen Milroe is really good at the deep ball, and he's really done a great job connecting the five-star freshman Ryan Williams at wide receiver. The Bama offensive line has been banged up early and is getting a little healthier, but it just hasn't been tested, and I'm still not really sure what that unit is. The University of Kentucky a couple weeks back was able to run the ball against a Georgia front, so that's something I'll be watching as I like the running back room for the Crimson Tide. As for the Georgia offense, they've really felt the losses of Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey as they've been day one starters on the NFL level and done really well there. There's a lot of talent at wide receivers. They have a bunch of guys. They just haven't found an alpha at wide receiver. My big note on this side of the ball is the Alabama secondary is something that I am concerned with. Western Kentucky quarterback TJ Finley, he didn't see the open guys. Guys were running wide open. South Florida quarterback Byron Brown, he saw him, he couldn't hit him. And then Wisconsin a couple weeks back, they lost their quarterback due to an injury in the first quarter and just never stood a chance. Both sides had tremendous speed at linebacker to really cover up intermediate passing. And so I think the deep ball and who connects on that is going to ball who likely wins this game. From a betting angle, unfortunately, the biggest games don't always yield the biggest betting opportunities. I make this game right around pick, which is right around market, so I don't have a strong conviction on either side. I'd bet Bama +3 -110 if it came, and I'd bet Georgia on the money line if it ever had a plus sign to it. The total is the same way, where I feel it can go either way, although the over is a little intriguing. It's just overly reliant on explosives to make that happen. Another takeaway is if you have strong conviction on either side of who's going to win this game, I do not, and that's okay, is I would shop either team's winning quarterback, either Carson Beck on the Georgia side or Jalen Milroe, to potentially win the Heisman, as this game's going to have a lot of eyeballs on it, and a good performance here could lead them to be the favorite come Sunday morning. For the second marquee game, Louisville and Notre Dame. Right now, market Notre Dame -6.5, total 45. The Irish have been up and down this year. Big wins against Texas A&M and Purdue, and then a couple ho-hum efforts against MAC foes, losing to Northern Illinois, and then Miami of Ohio. Louisville played its first real game last week against Georgia Tech and took a ton of money in the market against them late week when the biggest money's bet. They did cover that game. However, it was really undeserving as they blocked a punt late and returned it to the house and just didn't look good in that game. As for this matchup, it's really strength on strength and weakness on weakness. Louisville offense versus the Notre Dame defense, with Jeff Brom on the Louisville side as a head coach and a brilliant offensive mind, and the Notre Dame's elite defense with Marcus Freeman as head coach leading that side. The weakness on the other side, Notre Dame's really struggling in the passing game with Riley Leonard, who's turned out to not be as good of a passer as we'd hoped, and they're banged up on the offensive line. Louisville's strength on defense is their front seven and not their secondary, which again matches up with the Notre Dame weakness. My biggest takeaway here is it's going to be a rough matchup for both offenses. This took a ton of under money from the start, from the open at 47.5, and it's down to 45. Personally, I agree with the move, and I still think there's a little value left, and I'd consider maybe splitting your bet with the first half and full game at current market prices. As for best bets, I went 1-1 in the section last week, landing Buffalo and then getting a tough beat on East Carolina. This week, I got 3 for you. Give me Western Michigan plus the 3.5 against Marshall. UConn -6.5 against Buffalo, and I'll lay the 14 with Central Florida UCF against Colorado. That's it for me today. Back to you, Zach.
All right, always good to hear from Bob on the college football weekend preview. I mean, I'm looking. Alabama has won 8 of the last 9 against Georgia, which was very surprising to me. And then, like, look, all those games were very. I mean, outside of really one that was in 2015, most of those games have been pretty close, and I was just very shocked to see that Alabama has beaten them 8 of the last 9 times. Now, the one that Georgia won was actually played here in Indianapolis in the national championship game. So they won certainly won maybe the most important one, at least recently. But I don't know. He did mention Ryan Williams, who I mean, this guy's electric. He's a wide receiver. He's only 17 years old, and this guy is out there just carving up defenses. Unbelievable talent for somebody who's only 17. Crazy to see him out there performing at that level for Alabama, at such a young age. But yeah, I will be watching that game. I feel like I kind of like Alabama, to be honest with you. I haven't been overly impressed with Georgia. They struggled against Kentucky. I don't know that. I just have a hard time feeling like, they're. I think it's a game that probably could come down to the last possession. I could definitely see that, but certainly a game to watch. I mean, both teams just have NFL guys all over the field, so it's I hate the old thing when people would say, "Oh, could Alabama or Georgia or these teams could they beat the worst team in the NFL?" Which is always a resounding no to that, but at least this is the closest thing that you can get to having two like NFL close to NFL caliber rosters out there facing off. So I like that. I wanted to circle back with what Chandler was saying here. He has very strong opinions about Virginia Tech going in and beating Miami. I'm seeing right now, I mean, Miami their starting quarterback who is probably on the short list he might even be the favorite right now to win the Heisman, Cam Ward, electric player at quarterback. Certainly I would tune in and watch, if for no other reason, just to watch him tonight. They are favored by 16 to win this game. My numbers have this game even at, have Miami favored by 18. So I don't know that I would lay it. I wouldn't lay the points with Miami. That's a big number, especially on a short week. But to think that Virginia Tech is going to go in and just throttle Miami, I don't know that. But hey, we have certainly seen crazier things have happened before. But yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that game for sure. If for no other reason, like I said, tune in, watch Cam Ward, see what he's all about. Maybe during the commercial breaks and the Thursday night football. Or no, that game is tomorrow night. That's Friday night, Virginia Tech at Miami. So we'll be watching, Chandler. Don't worry. I'll shout you out next week if they get a win.
Maybe Chandler knows something we don't.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I would love to know what I mean, I don't know that Virginia Tech has been overly impressive by any means. I mean, I haven't seen much from them to compel me to think that. But maybe he's thinking that Mario Cristobal does his Mario Cristobal coaching routine of, making game-losing decisions. So maybe that's what he's factoring in, that he might like the coaching edge that Virginia Tech has. But I don't know. I think Miami has. I mean, they're a top 10 talented team in the country. I think that would be a stunning loss if Virginia Tech went into Hard Rock and took care of business that way. But anyway, Sal, did you have any thoughts on the college football slate or anything with Alabama, Georgia, or anything else that caught your eye?
I'll just say that I think I might ride with Chandler here, man. The confidence level in that statement,
man,
was hard to ignore, man. So
it's it threw me off. I mean, I had to read it a couple of times because I thought, okay, I thought it was he was saying what everyone is expecting the likely outcome to be, which is the opposite, which is Virginia goes in there and gets the work from the Hurricanes. They get torn up, but
17.5 point spread.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not.
I'm a ride with it. I'm a ride with it. I'll see you next week, Chandler.
Vatek on the money line, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have a discussion about it next week. But I'm putting my life savings on it. So
yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. That's hey, I mean, I love the confidence. I love it. Bring the hot takes, bring the predictions. That's what we're here for. So. What we are going to do is I just want to kind of make another mention. Arch Manning starting again this week for Texas as Quinn Ewers is out. He's been really fun to watch. It's crazy that he'd be starting almost any other school in the country. He just so happens to be behind Quinn Ewers, who might be, probably in all likelihood a top 5 NFL pick next year at quarterback. But
man, how crazy is that stat on his speed? What was it? He's faster than Tyreek Hill was.
His fastest sprint speed, I think, topped out faster than Tyreek Hill did. I don't know that they would maybe match up as well in just a flat out foot race, but I will say this: if you're watching Arch Manning, is throw out what you know about Eli and Peyton and what you've seen from the Mannings in the past, because like what's kind of crazy to see is he has the same run as them, like where it's like this, like when you see him jogging down the field, let's say, they had a deep completion, jogging back up to the line of scrimmage. It's like a spitting image of Eli and Peyton. It's the same like body mannerisms. That's where the comparisons end, because he is freakishly more athletic than both of them. He's big. He's really big. And a lot faster. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, he's going to be better than Peyton or even Eli for that matter. But I mean, the stage is set for him to, it's not just a, hey, he's just the name. Like, it's not just the Manning name here. I mean, there is real skill there, and he's going to be a guy that, he'll be starting next year. In all likelihood, probably the Heisman favorite going into next season would be my guess, but I don't know. It's a fun watch. He's not going to, I mean, Quinn gets the job back when he gets back healthy, but definitely tune in and get a little sneak peek here of what Arch has to offer, because he's a fun quarterback to watch, no doubt. Like I said, he brings a different skill set than what Peyton and Eli did as well, just because of like I said, he's a lot more athletic. But to be honest, I wouldn't even hate. I mean, Texas is a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they won the whole thing. I mean, they could win it all. They could take home the title this year, and I don't think it would surprise anyone with either quarterback, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we head towards, and do you want to make some picks, Sal?
Yeah, we could do that.
Or we could mention one quick mention, as the WNBA playoffs, they're down to their final 4 teams. Definitely sad to see Caitlin Clark season come to an end, and therefore the WNBA season effectively come to an end as well. But I don't know. Would have liked to have seen the Fever make some noise, but I think it just kind of speaks to how much talent there really is in the league right now. I mean, we have Minnesota, Connecticut, Vegas, and New York Liberty remaining. Are there any of those 4 teams that you think take home the title? Or even if Ocean Barnacle Boy is still out there, maybe he has I know he's just as torn up about the Fever as I am, but maybe he has some thoughts on who might take home the title.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Aces repeating, and I'm excited for the semifinals matchup, man. Like it's a repeat of last year's finals. I think I think it might actually go 5 games. They've looked good, man, and yeah, I mean, like I could see it being like Minnesota, Las Vegas in the finals, and the Aces just doing it again.
What do you think Indiana needs next year to kind of to take that next step forward? Or do you think that their team is like, they're good, they just need a season of experience?
Look, I
And
think
then,
they showed. I think as like a team, like Caitlin Clark aside, I think the rest of the team just needs to be a little bit more consistent, because like the supporting players have looked good at certain times and not so much at other times. And like honestly, like I don't know, man. Like just seeing like Caitlin Clark get like completely denied on a few possessions, like it's tough to watch, right? Like you gotta, I don't know if it's a scheme thing or you need another like great passer to find her and get her, find her in like in movement, right? Um, Whatever it is, like consistency is going to be key. And they honestly they overachieved this year, and so did like not to say she overachieved because I know expectations are high, but I think everyone's impressed with the season she put up, which is like like I don't know how many hundred records broken. Like
any record that was there, I believe, got broken. So,
yeah,
aside from Angel Reese, congrats on all the rebounds. But, Caitlin Clark's actually doing literally everything else. So, no, I think it's good. It'll be exciting to kind of see them take a step forward next year. Maybe the schedule makers will do them a little bit more of a favor. I think this year they had like their first 15 games. I think they played in 5 days. So, it was a really tough grind to start the season, but they kind of overcame it. They figured it out, and they were a fun watch as the season kind of went on.
and that schedule was especially tough on Caitlin Clark, who just came out of college and
no off season.
Like 2 weeks later, sorry, WNBA, yeah. Like I think the off season will do her some good. She said she's gonna go golfing or something. So yeah, that'll be good because we saw her come out from that Olympic break and she was recharged, man, looking way better. And yeah, I mean, like sky's the limit for her and the team. I'd like to see them improve the supporting cast. I don't know how they'll do it, but I think the team just in general will improve just with another year under their belt, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get this fired up and make some picks to kind of close out and wrap up the show. A little bit of we're going to do a little sneak peek here into the soon to be released new and improved TENAMINT app, Pick'em app. So let's give people a sneak peek of what we're going to be looking like here as we
go through the whole onboarding experience, which is new, which is nice. Yeah, really looking forward to this coming out very soon, next week. I know it's been a long time coming. We've talked about it a little bit, but you'll see that the new app is a lot more focused on the rewards, which is why we play the game, right? Like we're in there making picks on TENAMINT. Everyone's in there competing for cash prizes, but also making picks to rack up rewards and trying to reach that 11,000 point total that you've got there. You've got a preview of the marketplace where you can redeem those points. That'll come soon after, but you can kind of see where the app is going, and it's going to be exciting to be able to cash in rewards for like things like tickets, jerseys, gift cards, TENAMINT token, of course, all the good stuff, right? And so if you've been racking up points month after month, it's going to be really exciting, and all that's coming very soon. Plus new missions, new ways to earn rewards, lots to look forward to. And I guess we're at the end of September almost. What's that monthly leaderboard looking like?
Let's see. Is it going to be in? Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Sure, we'll see some of the usual suspects up there. Our guys Ancho, Mazorca, D. Blaine, and ZHUM64 with Crypto Ken hot on their heels. I believe he was in the top 3 last month as well. Pedro, Cecilia, and then me kind of rounding up down there kind of buried. So
some new challengers though in the top 10, man. It's good to see I know Zancho, you, D Blaine, Zoom, like CryptoCan, like you guys have been holding it down month after month, but you guys got some competition. And honestly, we have some flash picks today. We got 4 flash picks, the 2 Thursday Night Football ones. Then we're doing the series for the WNBA, both the semifinal series for the WNBA, 20 points each, with like what 5 days left in the month. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look. Let's see what we're looking at here. Here, let's get into the football.
You already got your picks in.
Yeah. Or maybe I'm just picking the opposite to kind of throw everybody off the scent.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Trying to fade the experts here.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we just need to reload.
Need to give that a little refresh there.
Yeah.
That's why it's still a week away. But
yeah, right. Hey, look, I mean, this is still I mean, we're testing right now. I mean, this is a live test that we're watching essentially. So we will make sure that here we go. All right. So Sal, what is your best pick of the weekend here in the Tenement app for NFL Week 4?
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, man, and after having that discussion earlier, I'm saying the Steelers. You know, I just think it's a bad recipe for the Colts, so I'm definitely leaning Steelers there. It's all good. We can go to the live app if it's.
Hey, that's fine. I'm gonna make my pick, and then we're gonna get back into the lab and keep cooking this thing up. My pick is. I tell you what, I think I'm going to take San Francisco. I think they're going to go on the road, take care of business. You know, the Patriots win last week. I don't know. I don't put a whole lot of stock into that, or not last week, but the week before. I don't know. I could just see Pittsburgh, or I'm sorry, San Fran. Yeah. San Fran. I was getting back into Pittsburgh again. I could see the 49ers. They just came off a bad loss last week, losing to the Rams in a game where the Rams had, you know, a pretty epic second half comeback there. I think that now, you know, going on the road, good time to refocus. They're a significantly better team than the Patriots. Not a lot that the Patriots have done that have, you know, they beat the Bengals, but I think that was more of a result of the Bengals just kind of no showing, or just maybe just not being a very good team, as we kind of covered earlier. But I think that the 49ers go in, take care of business, and get the win on the road to get the season kind of back on track.
Yeah. I could see that, man, for sure. I like that. It feels like a safe pick for me. I agree fully. I don't think you mentioned earlier, but who's your pick for tonight?
For tonight, I think like I said, I think I'm going to change my mind right on the spot, because I almost feel like going towards the Giants and the points. Now, if you were just like, as far as just straight up winner, it's hard not to take Dallas. I mean, they are still a better team. They have the better quarterback. But I don't know. It's like I said, if they come, it's one of those games where, you know, if you bet on Dallas, then right away they're going to be down 7-0. The Giants are going to go down, score right away. They're going to be showing Mike McCarthy like with his arms crossed, like he's going to be kind of looking up as if he you know, he's so used to looking up at the Jumbotron in Jerry's world that it's like he even does it on the road when there's nothing up there. He's like just yeah. So we're going to see Mike McCarthy, arms folded, looking at the sky, looking for answers that aren't there. And That's if you take the Cowboys. Now, if you take the Giants, then you get where Daniel Jones looks like he's playing blindfolded, throws an interception, and has 2 fumbles all in the first half, and it's going to be 21-3 by the time you even turn the game on. So, that's the side I'm taking. So I'm taking a blindfolded Daniel Jones because I think he could still do some things on this Dallas defense right now, the way that they're playing.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like in the landscape of the Tenement leaderboard and winning those monthly cash prizes, sometimes you gotta go with the you can't always just pick the favorites, because ultimately, like, you got to get ahead somehow and get everyone else. So yeah, I mean, one of those 2 outcomes is definitely true for sure. So
and I think, having Malik Neighbors definitely gives them a downfield element to kind of stretch. It's, say what you want, but I mean, he is a guy that you have to respect. The defense has to respect him and certainly shade some level of coverage towards him, which it's not like the Giants might not be, loaded with playmakers at every position. But when you have a guy like Neighbors out there, it opens up opportunities for other guys.
Yeah, it definitely makes everyone else's job a lot easier, right? And Daniel Jones has somehow managed to actually hit him, which is an impressive feat for him. So we'll see if that continues to be true today. We'll see, man. He's gonna need to make some big plays, downfield for this game to be as close as you're hoping.
I would like to see, and maybe it's just that, like I said, it's kind of, you hold your nose and take the Giants here. Not overly confident in them, but at the same time, like I said, short week. I like to, on a short week, take the home team, especially getting points close to a touchdown. Now, like I said, they could be down 35-0 at halftime, and I'm like, what in the world was I thinking, taking this horrible Giants team? But I don't know. I could see. Dallas does not have the mojo mixed right now, and as we've seen, they wanted to make a big deal about signing Dak and the contract and do the big announcement in week 1 and let that be, put it on display for everyone else. But not a good start. Probably not the start they were hoping for from him, from the franchise quarterback, or, I mean, like I said, certainly not their defense, but I don't know. We'll see. At least it's not, at least it's early in the season before we are certain that the Giants are bad. That at least now the Giants coming off a road win in Cleveland, there's maybe some false hope that, hey, maybe we'll get a good game tonight. And if that game sucks, at least there's still Army versus Temple on the college football slate tonight that kind of let people get their football fix there anyway. So, all right. Well, any other closing thoughts that you had, Sal? Anything to take us off into the weekend?
Yeah, a couple quick things for the Near family. We're going to be participating, and shout out to Barnacle Boy there. We're going to be participating in the Text Royale. You'll be able to make your picks, community versus community, within the Near community as a whole, the ecosystem. Make your picks on the Text Royale, and we'll get more details out to you soon. But we're excited about that. Something a little bit different. Yeah, I mean, hit those flash questions. What else we got here? Yeah, that's really it, man. Really excited to get this app up, the updated redesign out to you next week, and continue to build on some big things. So we're going to be rolling out announcement after announcement. From next week onwards, it's going to be an exciting little stretch here. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and we have the space co-hosting with Sam and Wolf Sports tomorrow night at 8 p.m. On Twitter. So be sure to get in there tomorrow night. I think we're doing more. It's like a college football, UFC, maybe weekend preview. Diving into that, a lot of great content creators and just kind of like good sports knowledge usually circulating through there. Like I said, I mean, it impacts some of those spaces. The conversations that we've had have impacted the way that I drafted some of my fantasy teams. So a lot of good information in there, a lot of good people to follow along with and get good information. I know our guy, Bob D, he'll be in there too, spitting out some more college football alpha for the weekend. So yeah, no, get in there. We do those 3 times a week, 8 p.m. tomorrow. And then next week's schedule it's TBD, but that'll get put out sometime on Sunday. We'll put out next week's schedule for the spaces as well. So 3 spaces a week we're doing, and then we still do Tenement TV every Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Keep tuning in, keep making your picks, keep racking up points. Look out for the new update, and we will see. That's the show.
And look out for the results on Chandler's hot take there. So
oh my God, yeah. By all means, everybody, make sure you're tuning in tomorrow night. Friday night, we have Virginia Tech at Miami in the upset of the century, where, as we said, Chandler has Virginia Tech going in and just demolishing the Miami Hurricanes in the middle of hurricane season.
I'm either going to be pulling up to Tenement TV next week in a Lamborghini or
yeah.
on the streets, one of the two.
Yeah, right. I know. Well, and if that game doesn't do it for you, we have Washington at Rutgers in a epic Big Ten showdown. Washington, a strong Big Ten history there. I say that jokingly as a team that, as a matter of fact, I don't know, I'm trying to think exactly how many years it's been since Rutgers has been in the Big Ten, but let's just say 10 years ago, you could watch like this game. Neither of these teams were in the Big Ten, and now here we are. They're both here. So we are happy to have them. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. Rack up points. Make the flash picks tonight. Giants, Cowboys.
Let's do it.
And that's the show.
That's the show. Thank you,
Zach.
Zach.
Next week.
Pleasure as always. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
We will see you guys next week.